Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for frame rate is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This episode of Frame Rate is brought to you by Ford, featuring voice-activated sync app link. Now you can control select smartphone apps with your voice so you can keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road. Check it out in the 2012 Ford Fiesta and at Ford.com/technology. And by Netflix. Watch thousands of TV episodes and movies on your PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or TV instantly, all streamed directly to you, saving you time, money, and hassle. For your free 30-day trial, go to netflix.com/twit. Welcome to Frame Rate episode 49. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey, I'm Ryan Brushwood.
And joining us this week, Ayaz Akhtar.
Hello.
Welcome to the show, Ayaz.
It's very different being in the living room set and talking to you guys instead of being all the way over there. Yes, I'm much more relaxed.
Exactly. Well, we are blessed with guests this week, Brian.
You say blessed, I say maggoty. We're infested like a disease of guests all over the place.
But in a good way, in a very good way.
I mean, it is positive as a maggot can possibly be.
Maggoty in the best way.
There you go.
Well, hopefully he's still on the line after that introduction. Let's get into our big story.
This just in, the big story.
Joining us for our big story, we're very pleased to welcome Chris Payne, director of Revenge of the Electric Car, and of course also director of Who Killed the Electric Car, if you've heard of that one as well. Welcome, Chris Payne.
Thank you for having me on.
Dude, thanks, I can't believe you did it. You made the threat to jump out and get chickens in the background, and sure enough, I look at there's chickens in the background. Best day ever.
That's actually a gorgeous shot.
Hey, you haven't had a lot of chickens on your show yet, so I thought maybe nice.
That's awesome.
I think it may be the first chickens on Frame Rate. It's certainly not the first chickens on the Twit network.
No. Okay.
But yeah, definitely the first chickens on Frame Rate. Well, congratulations, Revenge of the Electric Car in theaters now. You can go to revengeoftheelectriccar.com if you want to find out what theaters it's in near you, folks. But if you're wondering, okay, what's this movie about? Well, let's kick it off with a look at the trailer. Jason?
This is the most secure location that we can find in the building. You notice we have plenty of security down here.
There's a degree of excitement around electric vehicles we hadn't seen before.
But somebody's got to be the first one out there.
We need a lot of people trying a lot of different things, and then we see what emerges.
It's a race. It's a total race.
You know, until we see every car on the road being electric, we will not stop.
Oh, Elon's going to lose his shirt. Elon's going to get crushed.
God damn it, we got to get these cars out.
Things keep coming along from people outside the car business, and they all fall on their butts.
You didn't get the message. Give us the cars that we want.
I got the flood of emails saying, you sold out to the oil companies and you've killed my grandchildren. I hope you rot in hell.
They have based their whole company strategy on it. If it fails, there might not be a Nissan.
You need to predict the future, prepare for it. If it happens, we'll be ready.
So this is the opposite of Who Killed the Electric Car, isn't it, Chris? This is people fighting to make the thing that was already made and then thrown out into a dumpster.
What happened in 5 years, but it's kind of like looking through the looking glass or something with these companies just fighting over themselves to get back into business.
Shouldn't GM be out there saying, well, we have one? we already did this once? I mean, didn't they make the EV1?
Yeah, you know, GM, they were way out in front with the EV1, and then the guys in the boardroom that were making the money, the truck guys, voted to have that program killed. And it's too bad because $4 a gallon in the U.S., and they all wish they had that electric car to sell people. So I think that really, 2008 really started the big gas price when they go up.
So we're actually going to see an electric car this time. They're not. This isn't about the promise of one and then getting it pulled away. What's the message of revenge of the electric car? Who Killed the Electric Car was sort of saying, hey, I had this car because you had one, and they were pulled away and they worked fine. Why did that happen? Is this sort of the exploration of why we've swung the pendulum back the other way?
You know, we decided not to make an issue movie this time, but to do a film about what it takes to like shape the future, what it takes to be a good entrepreneur. Someone out of Silicon Valley, someone out of old guard Detroit that has a change, and a neighbor who converts cars. And there are people that are just doing it. And I figured we got so many problems. Let's not rehash the issue and just talk about the momentum. So it's a movie about momentum.
How is it different in tone from Who Killed the Electric Car? Because obviously, you know, as you watch the first movie, it's, you know, you get this growing frustration and this building rage, but it seems like the message of this is so much positivity, so much excitement about technology and the future.
Well, we were really angry when we made the first film, and I think we had a lot of reasons to be. Not just because our cars got taken away. I mean, big deal on some level, but on a bigger level, like how come you can't have innovation reach the marketplace, especially when it's really important? So we were pissed when we made the movie, and we wanted to like take it apart, what happened, why it happened, and tell the story, because it's kind of a good metaphor for whenever corporations get too involved in the process. This film gave us a chance to look at the flip side of things, and not of that story, but kind of that story 5 years later when everybody's fighting to get back into the market.
What was the bigger change? Is it that the technology has gotten so much better to where now it's more cost effective and profitable, or is it that there's the groundswell of market support for it, or is it a case where the public's interest has peaked at this point?
Well, there was a lot of public pressure after the electric cars. There were about 5,000 that were destroyed in California, and everybody goes, what the hell are you guys doing? So there was a lot of public pressure, but I think the real motivators were higher gas prices. You know, the electric car, when it came out the first time, gas wasn't very expensive. And when it popped, the only car company that really had an effective, you know, car was a Prius in terms of a mileage car. So everybody wanted to get back into business. And I also think that there's sort of a juggernaut of national security coming in, going, we've got to get off the oil, and the environmental movement saying, how about a cleaner car? And so these things work together with new technology, and here we are.
So the way I came across Who Killed the Electric Car, I had heard about it, but it's not the type of movie that I would go to a movie theater to see. But one day I found it on Netflix instant streaming, and that's what I personally love about the Netflix instant streaming process. Number one, they got fantastic documentaries, but since you feel like you're not risking anything, like a trip out to the movie theater or a ticket price, you can invest in a movie that you're not sure you're going to like. And I found it to be highly enjoyable. Do you ever hear about that from people who have cut the cords and not the type to go see this kind of movie in the theater, but they discover it because of a service like Netflix?
Well, I mean, that's me. I watch a lot of documentaries on Netflix because they're just right there. I mean, any streaming service, you see them on iTunes. I mean, streaming allows people to like watch things they wouldn't normally watch, and what the mainstream media is not going to put on television. So I'm a huge favor of it, and I was glad that it finally hit Netflix streaming because a lot of people saw it that way.
Now, Revenge of the Electric Car is being rolled out, and as I mentioned, you can go to the website and find out where it's coming. But it's not like a big blockbuster release where it hits all the theaters on Friday. Do you feel like the internet is getting to the point that it helps you distribute the movie, or are you still out there working the pavement trying to get distribution the old-fashioned way?
Well, the first movie was helped a lot by people just emailing friends and stuff. And I think almost any documentary or independent movie out there, and even the studio movies, depend on word of mouth on the internet. How people actually see them is a whole different thing. And it's very expensive to get into theaters, whether you're a studio or you're independent. So like our strategy has been, I think we have 25 or 30 cities across the country we're doing theatricals in, and that will help us get press and, kind of begin to drive momentum. But ultimately, a film like ours is going to live on people's access via the internet. It's just how you reach people no matter where they are.
The website is revengeoftheelectriccar.com. You can go there and click on the link for the screening, revengeoftheelectriccar.com/screening-dates.html. Take you right to the page. Find out when it's coming to a place near you. Any other tips for people on how to be able to find this and get out and see it?
Check the website. Check our Facebook site. If you can see it in a theater, that helps us a lot. So it tells the other markets that there's real interest in the film. So, yeah, if you can see it in the theater, it's right from now until about Thanksgiving, and then that's probably our run.
Excellent. Chris Payne, thank you so much for chatting with us today. Appreciate that, and thank the chickens and the dogs for us as well. Yeah, you know what? I got dogs here, too. It happens to be all the time. I totally understand.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Let's move on to another big story.
Stop everything. It's another big story.
Another big story. Google finally announced their official YouTube video channels. We've been talking about the rumors about this thing for quite a while, but they made it official. They're going Hollywood, and they're going to bring channels from major media partners like IAC, News Corp's Shine Reveille unit, also independent producers, also just some names like Tony Hawk and CSI creator Anthony Zuiker. Is it Zuiker, I think?
Sure.
A huge list of people that are producing this. Machinima Inc. is on there. Felicia Day is on there. What do you think, Brian? I kind of find this to be a cannon burst.
What do you mean by cannon burst?
In other words, let me set this up, and I want to get your opinion on this as well. We have been waiting for a long time for the major networks to figure out how to put their stuff online, but they don't want to because they're afraid it's going to eat into their video. And I've been saying if they wait too long, somebody's just going to start making stuff, high quality stuff, network quality stuff, and giving it directly to us. Netflix has been the first to pursue that with House of Cards and a few other commissions, but YouTube is going all out saying we're launching channels from high quality people, we're funding them, we're giving them money, and we're going to sell the ads and bring it direct to you. YouTube's being a network here.
Well, I mean, yes, this is obviously a huge change, not entirely unexpected, especially like didn't they buy Next New Networks a while ago to fold them in for essentially this? It's very tough to get excited about because these are names that I don't recognize, and I do see that they all have pedigrees that are associated with popular properties, but it's one of those things. It's like I don't know what to cheer for at this moment. Although I do know that 2 years from now, this will have obviously been a major turning point, and some good quality is going to come of it. But at this moment, it's like announcing that Christmas is coming in a year or two, and you're really going to like the presents you're going to get. But we've signed Santa.
I'm a big fan of this idea, even though it's been a long time coming. We've heard this, like, I don't know, for how many weeks or months now. But the concept is if you want to, cut the cord, you need content at the end of the day. And to have things like Hulu out there, and they're always like, oh, you'll get the video 8 days later. Like, this would be a kind of a nice thing from Google. When you get your Google TV, they have guaranteed content at least, because that was another issue they kept having, because you keep buying these boxes, and you don't have any content on there. So to have to be dependent on either Amazon or Hulu or Netflix, I mean, to try to sell your own box, like Google TV, this is going to be a lot more attractive, not only on the Sony products, too. They will have their own content end to end. So, like, I'm sure, I think Google's throwing, what, $100 million at these people? So we're going to get some quality content, I'm hoping. And at least it'll be available online instead of seeing the same ridiculous, oh, it's not going to work on a tablet. Oh, that's not going to work as an app. It's not going to work on your box. Like, it's going to work if Google works on it.
Yeah, and also what's interesting is when I first read this, when it said announcing video channels, I thought it meant in terms of live streaming, more TV, whatever's on happens to be on. But of course, I guess that's not what it is at all. And I wonder if, especially if they're popular, if they're going to actually premiere kind of the way here at Twit, you watch live and you tune in and you feel that sense of community when everybody's watching the same stream at the same time. I wonder if they'll do that as they release any of this content.
Oh yeah, as far as I understand it, they're going to do regular releases at certain times, so you'll be able to check in and watch your show at the appointed time that it premieres, and it's on demand from then on. So if you're not there at the appointed time, you can still watch it. There's a vast number of people listed in these stories. I mean, some people in the chat room reporting out Jim Henson. Obviously not himself, but his company is involved in this. Maybe it's just not the kind of names that get you excited, but CSI, Tony Hawk, Jim Henson. I mean, these are big companies that are involved. These are production companies, and we're not always familiar with that part. But Reveille,
which is
how many times you've seen the Reveille logo come up at the end of a TV show. Those are the people that YouTube's dealing with here.
Well, and that's the bummer. And you run into this exact same problem with video games. Many of, when we think of, for example, Modern Warfare as an Activision game, you got to remember Activision is just the publisher. And likewise, when we think of Lost as an ABC show, ABC is just the publisher. It's the production companies you should be excited about. You should know who they are. And I just feel bad that I don't. When I look down these lists, I'm going to have to go do my homework to see even why I know these different companies. But yes, it's good to have experienced, high-quality talent joining in giving a giant middle finger from the internet to traditional television.
I'm pretty curious about what the program length is going to be like. I mean, are they going to go with the 22-minute style of television? Are they going to be throwing in their own ads to make it 30 minutes? Are they going to try short-form things? Because, I mean, things that work on a desktop don't work necessarily on a television and vice versa. So, I mean...
It's all over the place.
I'm really curious to, I think because Google's trying this and with YouTube, they can go, they can go an hour long if they wanted to for an episode. I don't know if they want to spend that kind of money, but
do you know what I suspect it's going to be? I suspect it'll be sort of how they did it with The Sopranos, where they had a specific format that they were shooting for with HBO that involved a lot of cursing and nudity. But as a backup, just in case, they also made sure to shoot things if they wanted to recut it for distribution and syndication. My guess is as they produce this, they will figure out the format they want it to be, but in the back of their mind, they'll make contingency plans to say, okay, down the road, if this gets picked up in syndication, we can chop it into these neat 22-minute blocks.
I don't know if they'll do that or not. As far as I understand, it's kind of up to the creators, and the different shows can be different lengths. I know Revision 3 is tied in with YouTube on this. Wall Street Journal is doing this. The Onion is doing this. I mean, I think this is one. There's already analysts saying this is no immediate threat, and you're right. It's not an immediate threat, but it is the kind of thing we need to see start happening. So this is the very beginning. And we're not going to be seeing these channels start until next year. They're really not going to take off, and they may not get their first hit for a year or two if it works. But I'm excited that this is happening at all.
Yes.
And I'm excited both for YouTube and for Netflix. And I think, you know what? If Hulu doesn't end up getting sold, which it doesn't look like it's going to now, they're going to hold on to it, at least for the time being. They might miss the boat by resisting this. This is going. I have a feeling that within a year and a half, 2 years, everybody's going to be talking around the water cooler about some shows that they saw only online. And that's when you'll know that this is shifting.
I think that there's been a major public understanding shift in the last 3 years, whereas when you say watch it on my computer, people instantly thought either of piracy, of bootlegs, or they thought of, jokey cat videos. But I think that people are getting now that they can watch, thanks to the work that, ironically, Hulu's done, as far as people no longer have that perception that the computer is a lesser device to consume your media on.
Let's move on to yet another big story.
Tuck in your bootstraps. It's yet another big story.
New York Times has a story. It says cable TV had a big earnings season this past week, and while they reported some losses, both in subscribers and dollars, none of the reports seem to indicate that internet video viewing was the cause. Some of the causes were just loss of population in markets. People moved away from places that Cablevision has service, for instance, or just folks who went from having cable TV to not having cable TV, but they didn't cut the cord in the sense of, and then they kept an internet subscription. A lot of the people who gave up their cable TV also didn't have broadband subscriptions as well. So
right.
At least for now, it looks like what the cable industry has been saying is we're not losing subscribers to the internet.
And I'm sure that they would say that, whether or not, I mean, they have a vested interest in saying that, of course.
Well, the analysts are saying it too, though. It's not. It looks like this bears out because with the earnings report, they can hide things less. And the analysts are looking at the earnings report going, yeah, it doesn't look like the internet's taken a big bite out of them yet.
Right. Most of the losses were analog-only cable. And, of course, those are people who are on the cheapest cable package. And when it comes to the end of the day, they got to decide, you know, what they're going to keep and what they're not going to keep. But even then, I got to think that the massive amount of other opportunities for entertainment availability had to be a part of giving up the analog cable at the low end because, I mean, during the Great Depression, people would give up their refrigerators before they would give up their radios. So it's if truly that was their only form of entertainment, I gotta think many of them wouldn't give it up unless they had other opportunities.
Ayaz, what do you think? We also have the story along with it that internet video consumption is at an all-time high. So how do we explain this? A Global Internet Phenomena report for fall 2011 says that internet video consumption rivals basic cable.
You know, so I was thinking about this. I'm like, okay, to the cable companies, does it really matter why they're losing subscribers? I mean, if they're losing it to internet or they're losing it to books, I mean, it doesn't really matter. To them, they're not going to have a service to sell after a while. I mean, the thing they're selling you is what? Content? So if the content is of lousy quality, then people will just cut cable. I mean, that's one of the reasons I got rid of it, because I realized I was watching like 5 or 6 channels maybe, and I was getting like 100. And there's really no reason to have that because cable's gotten so niche in their actual programming, because that's the nature of cable now, that it's really easy to see it now as a luxury, because a long time ago it used to be, okay, you get cable and you can get some really steady signal. Because remember back in the old days with analog TV?
Yeah.
And like, you're like, well, if I get cable, I'll get a steady signal. I can actually watch the show instead of seeing static and snow. With the digital transition, I'm sure that's confused a whole bunch of other people, and the analog cable still existing. I'm sure that there's lots of reasons why they're losing subscribers, but I'm thinking that the internet being a video source, or it doesn't really matter why they're losing it. I mean, they have to figure out what can they do to be compelling for people to continue to pay money to watch a whole bunch of crappy programming.
Yeah. Jerks. I got nothing. I'm well spoken, Ayaz.
Well, Stephen in the chat room says what he's never understood is cable providers make money from ISP services, but they have to pay content providers to provide their channels. So why wouldn't they just want to go all ISP? And the fact is they actually make more money off the cable because they can charge you and sell ads. Cable companies can't sell ads on the internet unless they create their own website. I
mean, that's probably why we see cable companies becoming ISPs so much, and why they are so interested in net neutrality, and they want to see if they can get their content through there. And I mean, this is just another thing that a cable company is going to do. I mean, if they're going to be a telecom. I mean, Verizon, remember when I used to think Verizon, I used to think phones. They went to televisions, and then television companies go into phones by partnering up with other companies. They're just going to end up being some massive telecommunications thing. And the other thing is, don't forget, we keep seeing data caps. So if they're going to do online video and they will figure out how to make more money, they're always going to say, well, you went over your 5 gigabyte cap. You went over your 10 gigabyte or 250 gigabyte. I mean, video content takes up a lot of bandwidth. So, I mean, cable companies are going to figure out a way to make money, either as a cable company or as an ISP or as a phone vendor or whatever it is they end up being.
Yeah.
And don't forget, some smaller networks actually pay the cable companies for carriage. The big ones, the ESPNs and the TBSs and the Fox News channels, they are paid by the cable companies because they're desirable. But if you're a smaller indie network, you've got to pay the cable companies to get on their systems.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor, Ford, and voice-activated Sync App Link, enabling you to control select apps by just talking to your car. So we've talked to you about Ford Sync for a long time on the network. Leo's got his Mustang. He's talking about how he talks to his car, and his car does all the stuff like, play his iPod off of his iPhone and all that stuff. But with AppLink, you can do a lot more. You get voice control of things like Pandora. There's an app called OpenBeak that can read your Twitter feed to you and read your @replies. And it's the same sort of thing. You're playing Pandora and you say, hey, play that classic rock station, or thumbs up. If you're liking a song, you can actually interact with the app safely while keeping your hands on the wheel and your eyes on the road, just by voice, just by talking to it. OpenBeak you just say read replies, and you're waiting on a particular reply on Twitter. Well, now you can get it in your car. Sync AppLink is built on an API platform that allows Ford to continue to work with Ford Tech AppLink developers in the app community to bring apps to life with voice activation all the time. And we are doing a barbecue with Ford coming up on, I think it's November 13th is the first one. If you're in the Petaluma area, go to twit.tv and look for the tickets link. You can actually come by. You can watch This Week in Tech Tape. You can eat some tasty barbecue, maybe look at some Ford cars. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we thank Ford for that barbecue. Look for voice-activated Sync App Link available in the 2012 Ford Fiesta. Learn more about other technologies Ford is bringing to vehicles at ford.com/technology. And we thank them for their support of Frame Rate. Let's move on to Film Found. A new service, new website wants to help you figure out where to watch those movies online. It's called Can I Stream It? CanIStream.it. You put in the movie, and it gives you all the places you can stream it, you can rent it, you can download it, or you can buy it. It's kind of like Clicker, what Clicker does for television video, for all video, except Can I Stream It's just for movies.
Yeah, it's I'm actually, I'll explain what's going on when we talk about what we're watching. But I just searched for a movie and it's not available anywhere. I love this. I love the fact that you can instantly see the availability. However, it seems like a lot of the movies, if it's on one, it tends to be on a lot of them, doesn't it?
Yeah, although they're not always, right? You know, you can look on iTunes and the movie's not there. That doesn't mean it's not on Amazon. It's not on Vudu. It's not on Netflix. So it's nice to have one place that says, hey, here are all the different ways you can get it. And also you may want to download it versus stream it. And those movies, you know, some movies are only available for rental in some places. The deals aren't always the same. So this is cool. Although Clicker already does this. So it's not like they're the first ones to do it. It's just, it's good to have competition in the marketplace, you know?
Absolutely.
Seeing something like this just shows you how split up everything is. You know, you find out, okay, which services have what. You know, sometimes you'll be exposed to a service that doesn't exist. I'm sure some of these movies are probably like on Crackle. I'm sure nobody really pays attention to Sony's little product there. But I mean, it just shows you how split up things are, or which studios are more progressive. Because then you'll see like we just covered this on TNT with ABC, Disney, right? It's everywhere. So you're going to see that. You're going to see that same kind of thing. You're going to need all of these directories almost. And I don't know if that's a great thing. I mean, it's almost like the old search engine days. Remember Yahoo was a directory for the internet? That's what we need now. Pile. We basically need like a little book that says, okay, this is on Hulu and this is on Netflix. And it's helpful, but it also kind of shows you how if there could be a better solution out there. Because I think, are these guys using APIs that are provided by Amazon and Netflix, or are they just cataloging the data themselves? How are they getting their data at all?
Yeah, good question. I got some sad news for you, Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, the punk rock
Zediva
streamers are dead.
Zediva has been ordered to permanently shut down operations and pay the MPAA $1.8 million.
So we talked about this before. We knew since the first time we talked about Zediva that these guys were treading a very thin line. They were flaunting the spirit of the law, but we've seen several times services
If you don't
get
remember,
shut down.
Zediva is the company that was playing a DVD streamed over the internet directly to you and no one else. So they thought they were going to get around the law. They didn't.
Well, and again, yes, and we have seen several attempts for other things where it's like, well, it's pretty much the same. But Zediva, as best I can tell, literally stayed to the letter of the law and still got slammed. And it just shows how much incredible power the MPAA has. And it just, I hate that it stifles innovation here. It's like, even if they, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Somebody can send an email and let me know how they technically violated the law. Certainly they violated the spirit of the law, but by the letter of the law, it kills me. Kills me.
This just unbelievably irritates me. The concept was, okay, it's just a really long cable. So if you had a DVD, so like if at Tom's house, he had a DVD player, and then I ran a wire miles and miles and miles to my house, and I say, hey, please put that DVD in. I should be allowed to do that. You think that should work in between like a gigantic HDMI cable or something silly that way. But the idea that it travels over the internet, there seems to be that's where the issue is. But like, it's funny to see how the form is what's hurting this, because the actual act is normal.
Well, and to make it totally fair, you got to point out that you run that imaginary mile-long HDMI cable. Tom is not watching the DVD. Only one person is watching the DVD at a time, and it's you. It's the same as physically mailing the DVD. Only you just save a stamp and maybe cut out the wasteful inefficiency of mailing a chunk of plastic through the mail. And nobody was losing on this, and I can't believe they got shut down. You will be remembered, Zediva.
We'll pour a little out for you. Before we move on, let's check in on the NSFW Frame Rate Winter Movie Draft.
Dude, this was a heck of a start.
Justin Robert Young gets out to an early start because he took Paranormal Activity 3, which had already been out during the draft. So he bid $16 on it. It has now made $83 million, even as the third sequel. Pretty safe bet there. However, we had 3 movies out this past week. In Time and Puss in Boots were your movies, Brian, and netted you a cool $49 million.
That's not nearly enough. In Time, I knew would be probably a lower budget movie. I hoped it would do better than the $12 million it did. But Puss in Boots should have made $50 million for me to be sitting pretty, but it really underperformed my expectations at 33.
Hey, you're still rocking second place because The Rum Diary was a rum box office flop.
Well, and I'll tell you
$5
what,
million.
Tactically, that's if anyone has to get stuck with the stinker, I'm glad it was Sarah, because you remember she's the only one who spent all of her money and came out on top.
So next week's movies, Very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas comes out a little early. That's Justin Robert Young's. That should do well for him. And Tower Heist for Glenn Rubenstein, his first movie on the board. I don't have any idea how Tower Heist is going to do. Probably not that well.
I don't know. Those names still have pull. They're still big names. I mean, you never know.
Do you think Eddie Murphy vehicle is going to make bank?
You know, the ads actually look kind of funny. I'm surprised that I think it looks funny. Now, wait, who got Jack and Jill? Did anybody buy that? Because that looks awful.
That's not out this week. That's out next week.
No, I'm saying,
Glenn has that one as well.
I'm more afraid that that's going to do well in the future, by the way. Because that movie shouldn't exist, but it'll do well.
That's the Adam Sandler one, right?
Yes, it's the Adam Sandler one.
Let's move on to Tube Tops. Disney, ABC, I sort of mentioned this earlier, signed a streaming deal with both Amazon and Netflix. So splitting the baby, sharing the wealth, however you want to, whatever metaphor you want to throw in there.
Splitting the baby, committing infanticide. That's what they're doing.
Now, throw this in with CBS and Warner Brothers, who we previously reported had signed a deal with Netflix. Now, CBS, which is the majority owner, or at least the operating owner of the CW, has signed on to Hulu. CBS itself is not on Hulu. You're not going to see any CBS, shows on there. But their second network, the CW, the second broadcast network that they share with Warner Brothers, now on Hulu. Gossip Girl's coming to Hulu.
Yeah, and keep in mind also that this preserves a lot of the ABC content that was already on. This agreement is going to keep Lost on instant
the
streaming.
ABC version. Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. So, good news, man. More people getting on board, and while it may take a while, look, it's going to be ugly as people figure it out. But every time, that's one more knot unfolded to get more people onto the Anytime, Anywhere train.
Hey, you're always complaining about how Time Warner doesn't have a good iPad app.
Well, I'm complaining. By always complaining, you mean I complained about how it didn't work for me the first 2 weeks. But then,
Does it work better now?
Once it started working, I'm like, I don't want to watch crap on my iPad. I'm going to watch TV. I'll watch it right over here because, of course, it only works at your house. But it looks like this is coming out for Bright House as well. So, and it says it rebranded Time Warner TV app to the iPad. Are Bright House and Time Warner cable services related to each other?
Well, Bright House actually is a rebranded Time Warner experience. I'm not sure what their business relationship is, whether Bright House is an entirely separate network or not. But they basically, Time Warner, it's like an MVNO in cell phones.
Gotcha.
Virgin is a Sprint brand of service, and it used to be an entirely separate company. Now it's owned by Sprint. Bright House is a different brand of the Time Warner cable experience. Now they've got their own iPad app. So if you're on Bright House, that's good to know. And then Roku has added more games and cleaned up some of the streaming quality on their latest boxes.
Now, how do you clean up? I guess you just get a better codec for that?
Well, one of the problems was people were complaining that they had darker than normal images on some displays. So that's been corrected. They also increased the Wi-Fi performance. So if you aren't hardwired, which you really should be hardwired if you can be at all, but if you're forced to use Wi-Fi, you shouldn't see as much dropout. You shouldn't see as much caching. And they've now HBO Go readying it so that it should work with HBO Go. And they added subtitles to Netflix.
Now, have you played yourself any of the games since they started adding them to Roku?
Not a one, no.
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, we talked about this before, how I'm terribly worried that this kind of device would be underpowered for games, but I want to get hands-on with one sometime.
Doesn't mean I use my Roku less, though, just because I don't care about the games. Do you care about the games on a Roku?
I'm not accusing you of anything, Tom. It's okay, buddy. Hang in there.
I mean, the Roku games seem interesting to me. I have the older Roku box, so I don't have the game access. At least I don't think I do. But like, I could see that being a good quick pickup while you want to play a casual game. Don't want to fire up the PS3, which is a power hog, Xbox 360, which is really loud. I have the old one, or the Wii. I don't want to find a disc or do any of that stuff. I kind of like the idea of where they're going with this, but for me, I probably wouldn't use it.
Let's move on to what we were watching. What are we watching? We have other ones. We keep forgetting to play the other ones.
Yeah,
all right.
I was just scouring for it. I couldn't find it anywhere on here.
Brian Brushwood, what are you watching?
Watching Walking Dead. You know what I realized? I actually paid attention all this week to what I watched, because there's a lot of stuff I end up watching that I just don't even want to mention because it's trash. Whether it's a news channel on, or catching the Daily Show, or not that the Daily Show's trash, but it's just not narrative interesting to talk about. And if it's not The Walking Dead lately, it's kids shows, so I'll spare you all that. But I would love it if we have time to talk a little spoiler zone later on, because I am getting less and less enamored with this whole season of Walking Dead. Well,
let's do that. You're watching it as well, right?
I'm up to date on Walking Dead, so you cannot spoil it.
Let's forge ahead. So we have a little time for a spoilers on Walking Dead at the end today, because we're a little later. Rick, if you're watching this on the podcast, we recorded a little later so we could get Chris Payne on the show, which means we have to be finished for Ham Nation at the end here. So let's. I'm still going to watch Fringe once it comes back after the World Series trumped it last week accidentally. Although I liked the way the World Series ended. No spoilers, but it was good for me. I also watched Grimm, which I thought was good. I like that. I'm going to keep watching that. I'm watching Pan Am sort of in that way that you have something on that you can walk around and do other things while it's on, because it's just kind of pretty to look at.
You've been promising to quit Pan Am since the first episode, but you keep coming back. Yeah.
It serves that there's always one show I need to have that I can just sort of have on and not feel bad about not paying attention.
This is the ugly girl at the party. You're sort of embarrassed to talk about her, but I know this will go somewhere.
No, the ugly girl at the party would be a show that I actually really like and sit down and pay attention to, but I don't want anyone to know. This is the pretty girl at the party that you're not serious about. You don't really want to strike up a conversation, but you like looking at her.
All right.
What are you watching? What are you watching, IS?
I'm watching Walking Dead, up to date. How I Met Your Mother, because at this point, I'm just watching this to go, okay, look, they have to introduce this character eventually. And the absolute train wreck that is Whitney on NBC. I like watching really, really bad TV shows sometimes, and Whitney is one of the worst shows I've seen
I think it's already canceled, isn't it?
I don't know. I know that she's got 2 different deals. She's got 2 Broke Girls on CBS and she's got Whitney on NBC. So like I'm just really curious about how this show is still around. So if it's been canceled,
I'm really sad about that because I follow Whitney on Twitter and she's hilarious. So I was hoping her show would be really good. But
I've seen her stand up and it wasn't that great. So I was surprised that it's still on and that NBC's promoting it like crazy.
You've seen her stand up and it wasn't that great, so you decided to love her show?
I don't
to love to hate her show specifically.
It's a train wreck. I have to watch it now at this point.
All right. Let us then move on to interference. Well, would you looky there? All the guys in the Totally Rad show are making good. This time it's Alex Albrecht. He has got a short on Voltron that is live action out there. Jason, we got that queued up?
Yep.
Let's take just a little look at Alex Albrecht's The Death of a Hero.
Warning. Critical failure in life support systems ending. Warning. Critical failure in life support systems ending. Warning.
All right, I get it. It's bad.
Warning. Critical failure in life support systems ending. Hello, sir.
Damage report.
There are 63 damaged systems. 5 critical.
It's not called The Death of a Hero, by the way.
Would you like me to list them?
It's called Voltron The End.
Would you like me to list the system?
No, that's so... Oh. Crap.
You have suffered a number of injuries in the accident. You have one cracked rib and suffered a head injury resulting in loss of consciousness.
So this has been out for a couple of weeks. Probably a lot of people have had a chance to see it, but it looks good. It looks really well done.
My only gripe about this, and I understand when you launch something, you don't know how popular it's going to be or how it'll be received. So I understand why he called it what it was. But I wish that we had a time machine so I could go back and tell him to release it without the word Voltron in the title, because it would be so much better if you slowly figured it out what the context of the story was by the time you get to the very end. Because the very last scene is of the Red Lion all blown to crap at the end. And there are clues the entire time. You see written small on the heads-up display, Red Lion, number 5, whatever. But it's good on Alex, man. Super talented, all 3 of those guys.
Absolutely, and we would have talked about it last week, but we had the winter movie draft last week, so I definitely wanted to mention it this week. Jeff Kanata, looking at you now.
Next. Actually, what's funny is I was talking to Jeff recently asking what he's really focused on. And he's like, man, I got to up my game. Everyone else is directing. I got to get a big acting gig. So any minute now.
Exactly. And then I can't remember who it was that sent this my way. I think a few people sent it my way. But Jared Brandon is a Kiwi film producer. That means he's from New Zealand. And the All Blacks won the Rugby World Cup a couple weeks back. This one's also a couple weeks old. It's 9 days old. But check this out. He just filmed this on his own. He went to the game outside at the Auckland fan zone, just wanting to document people watching that championship game. Let's play a little bit as well.
To get their hands on a trophy that this country hasn't held for 24 years. And the All Blacks, well, this is it. This is it. A World Cup final. So first real opportunity for the All Blacks, deep in the red zone, going to a full line-out option. And the throw is good. Pops it off to Tony Woodcock. There's the first try of the final. What a move. And the ball lost forward, and now the All Blacks have a player down, and it's Aaron Cruden. And well, cometh the hour. Well, cometh the man. Number 4, 5'8" for the All Blacks.
Now, I know if you're not into rugby, this probably isn't, going to be hitting you as hard. But the way he tells the story here through the faces of the people, he never uses straight on highlights from the game. He's only showing what was up on the screen that everybody is watching. And you can really follow the emotions of these people without understanding a thing about the game when you watch this. It's good web video to me.
Yeah, if you told me that I would be watching a video of other people watching a video and that it could be compelling, I would have a hard time believing it. But it certainly looks like it's got a lot of heart.
Let's move on to feedback.
Now it's time for feedback with Brian and Tom on Frame Rate. Oh, yeah.
First piece of feedback to framerateshow@gmail.com. In case you were wondering what the email address was, comes from Jacob Law. Says, hey guys, I've completely cut the cord and only watch shows at my own leisure. But I talked to people who have been watching The Walking Dead who say that the frequent ad breaks completely kill the mood. After the season 2 opening with the freeway scene, I felt great suspense and real movie-style tension. But people who had 3 ad breaks in there said they hated that sequence. Do you think that crippling ad breaks will be a driving force in getting others to cut the cord? I know that I'll never tune in ever again and will always watch after the fact.
So this is amazing to me that we thought that this was the story that we'd be hearing about TiVo to begin with, when the fact that you can skip all the commercials now means that, you know, commercials are over. But now we're talking about now we're annoyed with having to bother to skip through the commercials, and instead we want a cord cut experience where we don't have to watch anything at all and it's just the narrative. I know that it definitely makes a difference when you watch stuff with the commercials edited out, and when you're able to watch a series back to back to back, because and we talked about this before, but Lost, I love the first season, which I watched offline without commercials and back to back, and then I hated the second season partly because it was terrible, but also because it had commercials and you had to wait week to week. So I'd say yes, I think it makes a very big difference.
Ayaz, what do you think?
I can see the annoyance, but the thing I wanted to see most when all this cord cutting was happening and TV commercial skipping was that I wanted the style of story to change. I didn't want these like, okay, we know the act break is coming now. I mean, I want if it's going to be interrupted by commercials, when I get the commercial-free version later, it should feel like a cohesive unit versus it being like, oh, we're slowing down. Oh, that's where a commercial was. That's where a commercial started. Like that always kind of drives me a little nuts about today's shows because I'm so used to watching them on Blu-ray that I don't even want it to feel like a TV show anymore.
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference watching a show, and I think you're right about Lost. I think Lost suffered from booking up. Now it's as good than when I could watch 3 or 4 in a row because you do get an entirely different dramatic tension. I can see that. Yeah. Let's read the last one, Brian.
Yep, here we go. Yeah, this one comes from Arik Hetue, H-E-T-U-E, and he says, so as a longtime Comcast subscriber, I was used to paying about $140 or so for all the services I wanted, digital cable, HDTV, DVR, high-speed internet, sports package, HBO. A few months back, my bill shot up to $180 when I called to find out, and they said about one of the usual deals I could sign up to get the bill back down under $150. All they could offer me was a $3 increase by adding a phone to my package. Well, as a longtime listener to the show and a techie at heart, I had been toying around with the idea of cord cutting for a long time already. This was the final straw. I even called Comcast, threatened to cancel service, hoping to have the retention folks give me some kind of deal. They did not, so then I actually canceled their TV service. Now my Comcast bill is only $60 for their highest tier of internet. What did I do to survive? Number one, bought an over-the-air antenna. It's about a 12 by 18-inch sheet of plastic that's pinned up on the wall behind my TV. I get about 30 channels in crystal clear HD. I'm in the Chicago suburbs. I was about to say, man, how do you get 30 channels? I get multiple channels of the networks, CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, MyTV, WGN, PBS, a few religious channels, and some other ones that I'll never watch. The antenna was $30. Bought a TiVo Premiere with a lifetime subscription on it. Ran me about $500 to get one with a lifetime sub and a replacement 2 terabyte hard drive. 317 hours of capacity, no monthly service fee with a larger upfront investment. I didn't know, by the way, TiVo was doing the lifetimes again because I got mine with the Generation 1, and then for a while they weren't offering it. Number 3, Netflix and Hulu streaming, $8.99 a month each. Actually going to drop Hulu now that TiVo's up and running. All I'm missing is HBO and AMC, but my total monthly cost for TV, if you subtract the current internet price from my former bundled price, dropped from $120 to $16.98, soon to be $8.99. I love it. My wife and I watch a ton of TV. Almost all of it was on the networks. We have to wait for the DVDs on AMC and HBO shows, but that's the price you have to pay. I don't think that's true, though. I think you could buy episodes of The Walking Dead the second they come out on AMC if you use iTunes. And by the way, Brian, on the over-the-air PBS channels, I set up TiVo to tap Caillou, Clifford, Superwise, Sesame Street, Cat in the Hat, etc. It's all free over the air, and the TiVo's awesome software tapes over stuff that may or may not be good for the kiddos. Anyway, it can be done. The over-the-air picture is actually better than Comcast was, and that's something that people don't realize is that over-the-air transmissions, because they have massive bandwidth, are able to get better. It's the reverse of the reason before. Now there's a reason to not be paying for cable so that you could get the better quality picture that an over-the-air antenna would allow.
Yeah, absolutely. You are getting an uncompressed signal, like straight from the pipe.
Right.
Unfiltered. You're tapping a vein. Is that?
Yes.
How does this compare to your setup, Ayaz?
I have an over-the-air setup, and the thing is, where we're located, and we're in Petaluma, it's not so easy to get all the channels because the antennas are far away. But the uncompressed video that you see on an over-the-air, and then if you take a look at Comcast, that's what we have too. Wow, huge difference. It's like Blu-ray versus the DVD kind of style. It's really different.
Wow, that big. All right, that is it for the non-spoilery section of Frame Rate, or at least the less spoilery section. We are now going to move into the spoiler zone.
And I don't have a graphic for spoiler zone yet. If there's anyone out there that wants to do it, send it. Frame Rate Show.
Spoiler zone. All right. That is our spoiler zone graphic for now. It's my hands. Brian Brushwood, you have 6 minutes. Go.
Look, I don't need 6 minutes. I could say it in about 6 seconds. I cannot believe these words are coming out of my mouth, but The Walking Dead is losing me. Did you know that that first episode was supposed to be 2 completely separate episodes, but they were unhappy with the footage. They crammed it all into one 90-minute show. And then, so that means technically we are at the end of the 4th episode of the 2nd season, and nothing has happened. Nothing interesting except for the one character who should be dead is instead turning into a cartoon. He's shaving his head, so you know he's evil now, without any rhyme or reason. And that scene drove me nuts too, because it was totally out of nowhere. It was totally unrelatable. Like, if you're gonna turn him into a bad guy, make me understand his transition. Make me see his agonizing choice, and let me see him take the dark of the 2 paths. And then let me almost understand him, but still be repulsed by him. But don't turn him into a cartoon, and a stupid cartoon who decides he's going to kill someone by shooting him in the leg, when they spend a whole episode showing that apparently everyone's a crackpot or a crack shot and able to shoot right in the head when it comes to a zombie. But if you're going to turn on your friend, you shoot him in the kneecap, and you're like, oh, now let's wrestle in front of zombies. I'm so disgusted right now. I'm very frustrated.
You're absolutely wrong, Brian, but I understand that. These things happen. This was the first Walking Dead that was enjoyable. This was the one that finally got back to being The Walking Dead. We had zombies chasing after people. We had people in danger. We had people in situations they could not possibly have gotten out of. And you had someone who, like you say, shouldn't be there right now, make a panicked decision in a place where he is in pain, so he can't think, he can't shoot well, he doesn't know what else to do, and to save his own life, he sacrifices someone else. It's not somebody turning evil. You're making way too much of this. This is someone making that kind of panic decision that The Walking Dead should be known for. Good people doing bad things because they don't feel they have any other choice. And that's what happened here.
I'm thinking it might be different if you see the whole season all together. That's what I'm always thinking about. When I watch these shows week to week, especially on AMC shows, week to week, they drive me nuts. Like, I'm like, this is slow. This is really taking its time. But when I watch them back to back to back, it's one cohesive story, and it's a lot better that way. So I'm thinking, I want to see where the rest of the season goes. I haven't read the comics because I don't want to ruin the show for myself. But I figure it's going to all make sense together.
If I may, just real quick, because I finally caught up myself. This was the first episode this season that gave me a really visceral reaction, and my wife as well. There was kind of a point where we kind of looked at each other, and I could tell, like, by the look in her eyes, she almost wanted to turn it off. And that's actually what I really want out of a week-to-week zombie film, is something that so, like, pushes that edge.
I think you need to explain why she wanted to turn it off, because that sounded kind of funny.
Well, no, she wanted to turn it off because it was kind of pushing that extreme edge. That's what I want out of a horror TV show. Not to turn her off.
You weren't saying she wanted to turn it off because it was so bad.
No, not at all.
She wanted to turn it off because
it was moving her to kind of an uncomfortable zone. And that's what I think we both kind of got that in the first season as well. Kind of these moments where it was like, oh, okay, this is really gritty. And it's a TV show. They're really kind of pushing the line here. I felt that again this last episode.
So there's one other thing that I want to be on the lookout for with The Walking Dead is obviously it's a fairly major change to keep a character alive who was killed off in the comic books. But I'm wondering, it also fundamentally changes the dynamics of how stuff works at Herschel's farm. And I'm wondering if we're going to see the beginning of a butterfly effect, that because we have this character who stays alive, kind of like you went back in time and made this change, I wonder if it starts to affect the later story of the characters, because the first season pretty much exactly tracked the comic books, but now we have this fundamental change and it's just getting farther and farther away from what actually happened in the comic books.
What are you talking about? We're actually very close to what happened to the comic book, with a couple of major exceptions that could be resolved any minute.
Okay, the two major plot points that we have right here is we have Carl getting shot,
right.
And then which did
and the
not
discovery
have,
of the farmhouse.
Okay, no, and Sophia being lost, and so Sophia was never lost in the comic book, and then also Carl getting shot. It was never this giant cartoon, remove the bullet, we need a respirator, all this stuff. All this stuff didn't happen in the comics books. We're way far off. Only the setting is the same as
We're
the
not way far off. We're very close.
Getting farther
you want it to be a frame-by-frame remake of the comic. I get it.
I want the story to bear a narrative that resembles the comic book. And the narrative is less and less looking like the comic book.
Well, we'll just have to let the people decide at framerateshow@gmail.com. Occupy frame rate. We'll talk to you next time.
I'm going to regret saying this, aren't I?